Hi everyone, it's Sheena. Today we're going to talk about how to answer the call center job interview question, why should we hire you? So, for you to be able to answer this question, we first need to understand why interviewers ask this question. And they ask this question for two reasons. First is they want to gauge your level of confidence, and second, they want to see how effective you are at convincing people. So, if you can sound confident and convincing when answering this question, you're good. Interviewers usually ask this question when the interview is about to end. At this point of the interview, your interviewer already knows your professional background, your educational background. And so this question really is less about your professional and educational background. This is really more about how confident and convincing you are with your answer. So before I give you the three sample answers, let me first show you how most call center applicants answer this question. They usually answer this question by saying something like, you should hire me because I am a people person, hardworking, and detail oriented. I don't stop until a job is perfect. If you give me a chance to be a part of your company, I promise that I will do my best to contribute. Something is wrong with this answer. It doesn't sound convincing. Because anybody can just say, oh, I'm hardworking, I'm detail oriented, I'm a people person. But is there something in the answer that supports those claims? No. She just expected the interviewer to take her word for it. So, if that answer was weak, how exactly do you answer this question? In this case, I recommend three steps for you to be able to figure out your answer to this question. The first step is I want you to pick one good reason for the interviewer to hire you. It could be a goal, it could be a positive trait of yours, it could be anything that paints you in a good light. Just one. So you might be wondering why only one? Why not three, four, or five? Because after all, the more the better, right? Well, in this case, not necessarily. The good thing about picking one positive thing about you is that it sounds more genuine and more credible. Because when you start coming up with like five positive things about you, it kind of sounds like you're tooting your own horn or you're bragging. And that's never a good thing to create the impression that you're bragging to your interviewer. There's a fine line between bragging and positively presenting yourself without the negative impression. And the step two is you need to pick a common call center problem to solve. And then the step three would be to support or back up your answer. Now, this is a very important part in your answer because without this, your answer is going to sound shallow and unconvincing. You can't just expect the interviewer to believe you without actually backing up your answer. You might be wondering, how exactly do you support your answer? And for that, I have three sample answers for you. So, the first effective way to support your answer is to tell a true story that proves that one positive thing about you. Let me give you a sample answer, but please, guys, bear with me here. This is going to be a really long answer. Because this is a storytelling. You want to pull your interviewer to your story. You want to make her interested in your story. And so, usually, it's going to be a really long answer if you're going to use this technique. Here it goes. You should hire me because I never shy away from irate customers. In my 2 years of experience as a waitress, I've dealt with all sorts of customers face to face, and not all of them were friendly. One experience I had was when a customer in the restaurant I was working for made a scene. She was yelling at me about how incompetent I was because their food was taking forever to arrive. She was also calling me names. Now, take note that it was Valentine's Day and it was very busy. Our manager instructed us to inform the customers right before the order that foods were going to take around 45 minutes to an hour to arrive. I did just that. I made it clear to her and her boyfriend that it's going to take a maximum of 1 hour, and at first they both said it was okay. When she started yelling at me, it was only 30 minutes in. So, knowing that I was in the right, I reminded her that I did inform her about the time frame before she placed the order. But still, she wouldn't budge. She demanded to forget the whole thing and was preparing to leave. I said no, that wasn't possible because their orders were already being prepared, and should they decide to leave, they would have to pay for it. And then she asked for the manager, but my manager was out having lunch. So, right at that moment, I knew it was only up to me to calm her down and make her see reason until the manager gets back. So, I tried one more time and told her that although I really wanted to help, the circumstances just didn't make it possible for me to meet her request. I empathized and said that it must not have been the experience they were hoping for and told her that I would recheck with the chef. In the end, she finally budged and probably realized the logic behind my reasoning, and with the help of her boyfriend, she calmed down. At that point, I no longer needed my manager. Anyway, my point is that in customer service, you're going to encounter all sorts of people, and not all of them will be reasonable. Being a frontliner in customer service for 2 years, I understand this task, and I'm confident about my ability to handle it. I'm hoping that your company would give me a chance to prove myself, even if I don't have a call center experience. So, in this sample answer, the applicant emphasized the one positive thing about her, which is her confidence and ability to handle irate customers. And in step two, the problem she chose to solve was the problem about irate customers who are making unreasonable requests. And in step three, this is where she told a story, an actual story that happened to her in the past, demonstrating how firm she is with irate customers and how she doesn't back down when she really needs to deal with them. The advantage of telling a story is that it is intriguing. It will make your interviewer interested. It will pull her in. And the more she's interested in your story, the more you're going to create an impression, a positive impression on her. And the more you're going to get the job. But what if you couldn't think of a scenario or a story that happened in the past that supports that one positive thing about you? What would you do? So in this case, you can paint an imaginary scenario showing how you would solve a problem for the call center company. So, the beauty of this is it doesn't have to be an actual experience that you had in the past. It's just basically a hypothetical scenario, like an imaginary scenario, something that the interviewer can picture out. In this case, you're not telling the interviewer how good you are, but you're showing the interviewer how good you are by painting a picture for her to visualize. And here's the example. You should hire me because I'm a person who pays very close attention to quality. When I decide to do something, be it as simple as cleaning a kitchen or as significant as exploring a new career, I always give it my 100%. And I really believe I could apply this to customer service. You see, my number one rule when helping customers is as much as possible, they should not have to call for the same problem twice. That to me is the very definition of an excellent customer service. Of course, depending on lots of factors, this isn't always possible. But if I can help it, I will make sure that customers know what they have to know right on the first call and that their concerns are addressed to the best of my ability while also following the company policy. This way, customers are satisfied, there are no unnecessary repeat contacts in the future, and the workforce is as strong as it should. So let's examine this sample answer. So as you can see in the step one, the applicant mentioned attention to quality as her one positive trait. And in step two, she chose the problem of unnecessary repeat contacts by customers. And I kid you not, this is a very good problem to solve in your answer because this is very common. This is something that basically all call center companies could relate to. Now, in step three, notice that when the applicant supported her answer, it was not really based on an actual experience. It was not based on a true story that she had in the past. It was just an imaginary scenario. It's hypothetical. It hasn't happened yet. It was a scenario that she promised the interviewer she would do once she's hired. It's making the interviewer visualize how it would be once they hire this applicant. And that is basically as effective as the first technique. But what if you couldn't come up with any scenario? What if you just couldn't think of anything? In that case, I have a solution for you. And that's going to be the third way to support your answer, which is you can just mention the benefits of hiring you. That's it. And you're done. It doesn't have to be a scenario. This is the example. You should hire me because I want to build a career in this industry and I intend to stay long term. I know that this could be a stressful job. I know that the shift is mostly at night. And I know that the schedule changes from time to time. But you see, I only graduated high school. And as far as I know, this is the only industry where I have equal opportunity as everyone else, where I actually have the chance to build a career. And I would really love to take advantage of that and make that happen specifically in your company. If you give me a chance to work for your company, you won't regret it. I always make it my goal to keep learning and improving. My short school education won't stop me from absorbing everything that you have to teach me. I'm also not going to be one of those employees who leave after months of being hired. I intend to establish my roots here. So in step one, the applicant highlighted that one positive thing about her, which is her desire to build a career in the call center industry. And in step three, she supported her answer in a kind of interesting way with a twist. The thing about saying that you want to build a career in the call center industry, that you want to stay long term, is that most interviewers are not going to believe you because it sounds like a cliche or something that applicants say all the time, and it's becoming more common. The common reaction of interviewers to this answer is they usually don't believe it. But in this case, in this sample answer, the applicant actually made it convincing by saying one thing. Notice that in her answer, she mentioned the fact that she's only a high school graduate, which is the actual reason why she really intends to stay in this industry, knowing that this is the only industry that's going to help her build a career. By saying this, by acknowledging this fact, the applicant is showing some vulnerability to the interviewer. And by doing so, this makes a cliche or common answer sound more credible, sound more honest, because she's exposing a weakness. But of course, you don't want to overdo the vulnerability factor in your answer. You also want to make sure that you're compensating that weakness. As you probably noticed in her answer, she emphasized two sentences saying, I always make it my goal to keep learning and improving. My short school education won't stop me from absorbing everything that you have to teach. So basically, what she's doing here is she's acknowledging her weakness, but she's also backing it up with two sentences that'll make her weakness not matter. And in this way, the answer sounds more convincing, even if the answer itself is a cliche. Overall, this is a really good answer if you have weaknesses in your professional background. Maybe you have no call center experience, or maybe you only graduated high school. And I know that most call center companies accept high school graduate, but you see, interviewers have biases. I won't be surprised if some of them are actually reluctant to accept high school graduates. So if you really want to make sure that you pass, you want to acknowledge this weakness, but you have to back it up with a stronger statement to tell them that your weakness doesn't define how you would perform once you're in the call center. Okay, so those were the three sample answers. And lastly, I want to remind you guys that this question is also about how you deliver your answer with confidence. You really want to muster all the confidence you have in yourself and apply it to your answer. This is not the time to slouch. This is not the time to look up at the ceiling. Instead, this is the time to make eye contacts to your interviewer. This is the time to sit properly on your chair and to make sure that you are enunciating every single word of your answer well. You also want to smile because it will help you with your anxiety. And another thing, when you're taking calls and you're talking to customers, you're not going to know everything. There are always going to be times when you're not going to know exactly what to do in a certain problem. But still, in these situations, you, as a call center agent, are still expected to sound confident and to sound as if you know what you're talking about. That's why it is very important that you sound confident during the interview. This is a really big factor. Okay, guys, that's all for today. If you have any questions, suggestions about my next video, comment down below and I will definitely make them in the future. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's all. Bye.